it would work, and then I'd try and overclock it, and then it wouldn't work. And the problem is, I'd clear the CMOS out, reset everything, and it wouldn't boot up again. And then I'd take the battery out, and it wouldn't boot up again. So I replaced the battery, updated the BIOS, and it still had these weird problems, like extremely frustrating problems, where I ended up having the top PCIe slot. I had to change the graphics card down to the third PCIe slot, which is still 16X. And it was just, that somehow fixed it. Like, what is going on with these overclocks? And then the funny thing is, in the BIOS, I've got some weird problems which I've never seen before, which that doesn't surprise me because I've ran into these problems on Gigabyte X58 motherboards in the past, where it's, for instance, in the past, it switched the turbo and the base multiplier around. I've only ever seen that once on a different board, but this one is having some weird message just randomly pop up when I'm using it, and it'll just tell me like to escape, and then it won't escape, and it will basically freeze. So really weird problems with this motherboard. The memory didn't show the XMP profiles, so I tried two different sets, and one of them is even an official like Intel certified XMP profile. It just wasn't showing XMP profiles up, so I was limited to using manual timings, and even then, anytime I changed it manually, the timings, the memory just plonked out, even at like really slow speeds. So I had to just put all the memory in, run it at like literally 1260 megahertz. I think that's what I settled on with the memory overclocks. And then for the CPU, the i7 950, I managed to get that up to 3.8 gigahertz, basically with the memory maxing out at those really low CL timings on the B clock. So we still managed to get a half decent overclock out of the CPU, all things considered, but I had to work around all these really finicky BIOS settings and problems. And here's the final state. It does work, but I just left this out just in case it didn't decide to work, so I wouldn't have to pull everything apart again and reset and waste my time. But it seems to be all working now. Let's sit down and move over to a conclusion with this PC. So all that aside, all the frustrations, all the massive amount of time cleaning this thing up, giving it some proper tech yes loving inside and out, we managed to get a PC that gave out, I would say, the best, like literally the best price performance in the history of the channel, where we picked out all these components for 50 Aussie dollars for the whole main case. And then we put in a $20 SSD, $10 hard drive, 500 gigabyte, and then $1 on the LED strip. So 81 Aussie dollars in total for this whole machine, and it plays games really well. And I think in USD terms, it's under $60 US. So that is just incredible price performance for what it can do. You can play all the popular titles out there. Red Dead Redemption 2, of course, being extremely demanding, and still managed to play that at 720p. The one thing, like, you're probably thinking, man, Brian, you should be way more excited with this price performance. Don't get me wrong, I'm pretty excited, but man, this thing took it out of me. Like, there was so much cleaning to do, ridiculous amount of cleaning, and then on top of that, I had all the problems afterwards in order to get this rig to work properly. And so this was, it was one of those bittersweet. That's the best way to describe today's rig, bittersweet victory. And so we ended up getting there in the end, and it took a lot out of me because my hands are actually really sore from all that stuff last night. I don't know, like, I've got to start wearing a mask and getting some gloves because that was just too much last night. And I did chuck out like so much weight reduction in this case. There was just so much just crap and clutter inside. I just took the minimalistic approach and ended up working a lot better. I can carry this thing without risking myself getting a herniated disc in my back. And yeah, I mean, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty cool. And I guess that's what it's all about. If you guys have a lot of time on your hands and a lot of patience, then you can really bring up a PC and make it work again, give it some life. And that's just ultimately one of the backbones of the channel here at Terraria City, making magic happen from basically nothing, bringing up something that someone would either just want to chuck out or get rid of, and making it game properly in 2019. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to smash that like button for us. Man, I know I've earned that like, that's for sure. And let us know in the comment section below what you think of this PC. There'd be some things you'd change, some things you'd add personally. I think it's just one of those PCs that just made it in the end. It did get there. But I tell you what, Gigabyte and their older BIOSes, man, I can only imagine the amount or the plethora of problems that await on all these other motherboards that I haven't even tried in the past. Like, I've tried the X79 UD3, their P45 motherboards, I've tried their P55s, and I've had problems with them all. But I'm just wondering what other problems exist out there, because this was so frustrating to get my head around and finally get something that actually worked. I ended up calling the BIOS profile